What's up, guys? Toad Slayer 72 here, and I'm going to show you how I do the Palomar knot. It's pretty much an old school knot, and I've been using it forever, probably over 20 years. It's pretty easy to tie. It's well known. I have a lot of confidence in it. It's all I use, really. Never had any issues with it. I mean, I might have had a break off here or there over the years, but I've never had any problems to the point where I needed to second guess it or anything like that. So I have 20-pound co-poly here, and I have a 6-inch bait because this big bait will help me illustrate something later on with tying the knot. So here we go. First of all, I do not pinch this down. I don't see any potential gain in that. It's harder to pass through the eye, in my opinion, and it could damage your line, especially fluorocarbon. So not only is this easier to just go like this, pass it through, and then bring it back, but it's safer, potentially. It's just nothing wrong with doing it that way. So that's how I do it. Now, right here, I like to keep these double lines side by side. I do not crisscross them or let them. This co-poly is a real pain in the balls, so it might crisscross. If it does, I'm not going to fight with it now. If I was tying this knot for real to fish with, I would definitely fight with it because I don't like the idea of that crisscrossing. But for now, I'll just let it do what it does and continue. So you got step one here is to double your line over, or to get it double through here. Step two would be what I call just an overhand knot. There you go. Step three would be to pass this loop over the bait. But I think a lot of times in doing that, people don't pay attention to this, and they let that get too snug too soon. And when you pass that loop over the bait, what you end up with is this is tight, and then you got to get rid of all this big loop right here. And what that does is just create a scenario for friction, like prolonged friction by pulling all this out. And you can avoid all that by just keeping this loose. I like to put my finger in there so it stays relatively loose as I pass the loop over the bait. Now I got a big loop here. It's a good size loop to get over this longer bait. But this stays loose, and I can just keep this loose as I draw this down, and it will get that loop out of there and remain nice and loose. You just have to play with it a little bit. You might have to back it off, pull it up the line, then pull it down, or just now I had it going nice with my thumb in there. But you can play around and manipulate it. You'll find different methods for doing that, but that's the key point, is to just keep it loose. And if I had to say one thing to do about tying this knot, it would be to keep the knot loose until you get it to the very end, where you got to cinch it down for the final knot. So you don't need to do anything exaggerated or heavy-handed or fast zipping it down. Those are all just situations that can create friction, too much friction. If you keep this loose, you'll see at the end of the knot you won't have to be faced with any real friction scenarios. So you just play with that a little bit and get it down. Now it's getting to the point now where I probably would have lubed it up by now, moistened it up with some saliva, and I will in a second here, but I just want to let you see what this knot does. That bottom loop right there is the overhand knot, and this top loop is the loop that passed over the bait. Now as you get this down a little further, I'm pulling on both lines here, by the way. As you get this down, this loop will have a tendency, quite often, has a tendency to be folded down this way, like that. And it can wrap around the eye of the hook there, which is just a pain. You got to play with it to get it back up there. So as you're drawing this down, keep an eye on that loop and try to keep it on the top, because that's where I finish it. That's where it finishes, So I'm going to go ahead and moisten that now, and I'm pulling on both lines. I got an old piece of line in there. Yeah. Alright. Now that's pretty tight, the overhand knot, and I still have that little loop in there. It's very small though. I mean, you can really see there's nothing to it. That was the giant loop that went over the bait. I pull that out just by pulling a little tug on the tag, and I pull on both. Really good. And I give the old main line a little, again, nothing exaggerated, fast, or heavy-handed in any way. You know, just steady, gentle, almost like finessing. You know, finesse the knot. And there you go. I mean, let's give a little tug with my teeth on the tag. And get rid of your tag. And that's it. Now, if you have that first overhand knot tight and you got that big loop to drag out, it's just friction can just ramp up, you know, as you're pulling all that out. And especially with fluorocarbon. Fluorocarbon is so susceptible and it's fragile in that way with like heat and kinks in it. So you don't want to do anything to that fluorocarbon, especially when you're tying that knot. I mean, to cause problems with it before you even fish with it. It's just, there's no need to. I mean, I just think it's a good habit to do with any line. I don't like the idea of all that friction going on with any line. The mono, copoly, I mean, braid, it might not matter, but I don't use direct braid ties in any of the fishing I do. So I'm usually tying either of these other lines that friction could really cause a problem. So take your time with the knot. Who cares if it takes an extra 20 seconds, 30 seconds, 45 seconds, a minute? Who cares? You know, there's this idea that you should be able to tie a knot super fast, you know. I don't know what you think you'd really be saving by doing that. I mean, you could tie it 20 seconds quicker and then end up with a shitty knot. So I don't see the value in that. You know, take your time with it. I mean, over the course of a lifetime, if you're losing 20 seconds on every knot you tie, who cares? What is that? You know, to do the best you can to get your knot as good as you can do it. So if you have to practice it, practice it. You know, do whatever. You'll get quicker with it. You can tie it quick enough, at least. The key is to tie it right, you know. It's critical. So practice the knot. If you have to, use old line to practice it. Something to do, you know, spare time or whatever. Get good at it, get comfortable with it. It's a good knot, it really is. I like it. Like I said, I've been using it forever. And no problems with it. So I hope this is helpful to someone. Thank you for watching. And